2026 is our multi-market year.
That's coming up quick.
There's two different ways that we're thinking about like growth right now. What does our core location look like? And what does a new market look like? Anyone that's looking at a new opportunity, population matters a lot. The where really matters. And I think there is an advantage to not being the biggest in market. I think a lot of the people that I've talked to that have struggled with greenfielding, they all make the same decision, and we're gonna choose to not make that decision. I'm not ready to like air that one.
John gatekeeping the secret sauce here. Welcome back.
Welcome back
To Owned and Operated. I am Jack Carr. Own a few HVAC and plumbing companies in Nashville, Tennessee. We're hoping to hit $6 million in gross revenue this year. What's going on, John?
What's up, guys? We're trying to introduce ourselves better. So I am John Wilson. I run Wilson Plumbing in Ohio, and about 160 people on the team, aiming for 30 this year.
What's going on, man? I'm glad we got to jump on today. We had a cancellation, so it's a John and Jack episode.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Yeah, what is going on? It's July. It's the end of July. And July's been weird. I mean, maybe I say that about every month. Do I say that about every month?
I feel like we end up saying that almost about every month.
I know.
But yeah, it's been weird for us as well. It's the same stuff as last time. It's like too many leads, not enough people. But we are bringing on we're going to finally be staffed up August 1st, right when it hits 82 degrees.
Oh,
we missed the heat wave.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
Are you looking to grow your home service business with a steady and predictable stream of high-intent leads? Well, Modernize helps contractors scale with 4 powerful tools: inbound calls, live transfers, and branded programs, all designed to connect you with homeowners who are ready to start projects right now. They've delivered over 9 million leads, generated $4 billion in revenue, and support more than 25 trades across the country. Whether you've maxed out LSAs or you need leads to fill a revenue gap, Modernize is your growth lever from inquiry to install. Click the link below to start driving consistent growth with Modernize.
I mean, HVAC is so hard to get right. It reminds me, I think it's called Perfect Power Wash, but Perfect Power Wash is a really big power washing business near me. They're headquartered like in Akron. And I think they're the largest power washing business in the US. It's like $35 or $40 million, like single brand. It's ridiculous. 10 or 12 locations. And like ridiculous story. We should have them on. But they have every spring they have to hire like 400 people. And then like 200 people like don't work out in the first month. And it's like, what happens if you miss?
I don't understand businesses like that.
I don't either. I mean, another even more extreme example of just like, hey, like what happens if you miss? Like Mike Girdley, if people haven't checked out his stuff, I think he shows it's called the Girdley Show or something. That's his YouTube channel. And it's girdley.com. But he's a cool guy. And he has a fireworks business. And like,
exactly,
it's one day. Like you build up the entire year for one freaking day. And if you miss it, like that was it.
Yeah. And so I saw this actually a lot when I was in the start of my business acquisition journey back in 2022, is because I was looking specifically early on in like Boise, Idaho and Montana and Wyoming. And there's such a large snow season there that when I was looking at a paving company, what they do for this back half of the year is they furlough everyone, or they lay them off. They go and they get government assistance, and then start spring, they come back to the company.
Yeah.
But like, it's such like exceptionally seasonal business that I always have to go like, what happens if you don't get those people at the start of spring? Like you just don't operate. It's just, there's such a high
or like lower, capability. Well, we were talking to our friend, you and I are in this chat with our friend Yossi from Monkey Wrench.
Yep.
And it's like, he said it was 60 or 70 or something in LA right now. And like, they're having a summer that isn't like it didn't arrive. And he sent us a screenshot from LinkedIn or something. And it's like, it's this 40-person HVAC service team, like being trained because there's nothing else going on. I do think,
which is wild.
It's wild. I think like HVAC is weather enhanced. Like there are things you can do, but it is a tough game. We're like we didn't nail this summer either for HVAC. Now granted, we still grew a lot over last year, which is cool, but we didn't do what we thought we were going to do, and we didn't execute what we could have done. So that was sort of disappointing.
Yeah. I was laughing the other day. I was talking to somebody who I was telling this to. I was like, I'm so disappointed our team didn't do it and we didn't hit the numbers.
Yeah.
And he said, Jack, aren't you like 60% up year over year? And I went, yeah, I'm upset about being 60% up over last year. So I try to put it in perspective, but definitely, I'm always blown away by those kind of like extreme hiring circumstances where you have to do it and you have to get it right. And then the back half of the year, you just let everyone go and then try again the next year. It's crazy. I assume a good portion of people come back if they like the job. Mm-hmm. But I mean, talk about a weird business to have to run. Is like, hey, I need to hire 400 people in 2 months and train them.
No, so, I totally agree. Yeah.
I mean, speaking of acquisitions, so we are talking to 2 different groups right now. And I know that you've grown. You've had, 10 acquisitions?
Yes. I think my 10th one was like kind of fake.
Those damn fake acquisitions didn't match you.
Well, it doesn't feel like this is...
Is it not a real business because it was too small?
It was like a revenue-less like phone number. So it's sort of like, I almost don't want to count it as my 10th, because like 10 feels like, my 10 should be big or something, but it was $9,000, right? But yeah, no, we've acquired 10 over the years.
Yeah. Are you guys like talking about like growth and acquisitions? Yeah. Are you guys still, I know at one point in your journey, you kind of slowed that down.
Yeah.
Just because growing organically at the same cost with the market the way it is, it felt like almost, at least from my point of view, that you had more opportunity to grow your systems organically than to try and smash in like a $2 or $3 million company that really doesn't change your top line all that much or your bottom line and mostly causes headaches.
Yeah.
Where are you guys sitting now with that? Or what is your plan and outlook going forward?
Yeah. So this is something we've thought a ton about. I do think the economics of tuck-in acquisitions they just get different. The bigger you get in one location. So I think there's 2 different ways that we're thinking about like growth right now. Like, what does our core location look like, which we only have one right now? And what does a new market look like? And how do we think about each one? Like, we acquired our way from 4 million to 10. And I think there's a lot that I could say about that, good, bad, hard, whatever. But it got us from 4 to 10. And I do think that there is a solid argument of using acquisitions as like a way to take share as fast as possible. Like if I went into a new market today and I either launched or acquired, I would run a localized roll-up strategy to get them to like $10 to $20 million of revenue as fast as possible. Like, could we do that in the first 2 years, 3 years? So how do you like sort of break into that size? We've talked about like placing senior leadership team. How do you get into the size where you can place really talented leaders that can run with a meaningful business?
Yeah. I think a good example of this too is, so I've just had this conversation. So one of our team members is from an is an Apex company in the area. And he's one of the people who leaves Apex because it's Apex.
Yeah.
And what he was saying is, right, they went in and did the acquisition strategy, right? They went in, they bought a really good company. They probably paid a 6-7x on, $2 to $3 million in EBITDA. And so they're walking in and hitting that number straight out of the gate of, hey, we're doing 10 to 20 top line day one. Very difficult because there's a lot of change that happens, a lot of turnover, et cetera, et cetera. And then there's other companies like Hoffman Brothers and Coolray who did the opposite, and they kind of have 2 different diverting paths, right? Like Coolray came in, spent something crazy like $25 million.
It's $25 or $30 million, yeah.
Yeah, to reach their first couple million in EBITDA, if I remember correctly. Yeah. And Hoffman's been pretty open about his, is he spent 3 to hit 15 in top line.
Right.
So like there's multiple types of greenfield strategies on top of it. So, I'm curious because there's like a multitude of different ways to run acquisitions or greenfield. And so I'm curious. So are you guys now, my take is that you guys are starting to think about moving into different markets.
Yeah. So our plan for a while now has been 2026 is our multi-market year.
That's coming up quick.
It's coming up quick. I have a lot of thoughts on this and I will share most of them. I think the why is important. Like our vision is to be $100 million business. We think that we will accelerate by going to new markets. There is a challenge with being the biggest in market that I don't think gets talked about very often because there's not that many biggest in markets, I guess. But like, if you're biggest in market, like there's a target. They're like, everyone's chasing you. And I think there is an advantage to not being the biggest in market. I think there is an advantage to being, but I also think there's an advantage to not. So it sounds attractive to like be someone that is getting market share inside somewhere new. I think it'll accelerate growth if done well. It obviously can slow growth if done badly. I think it gives our team opportunity to grow. I think there's a lot of wins. And, over the last, if you've been following the show for really the last year and a half, like in my head, we started talking about multi-location, multi-market about a year ago. And we, at the time, said, hey, let's do this in 2026. Like we roughly knew the timeline we were going to be working with. And I've just been spending a lot of time talking to multi-unit operators, basically as often as I could, to try to understand like what were the pitfalls, what worked, what didn't work, would you do it again? And time again, at the end of the day, the biggest companies in the industry are probably multi-location. There are some exceptions to that. Parker and Sons, Four Seasons, like there are
Four Seasons, Applewood.
There's a couple exceptions to this rule, but like those are the exceptions. And what seems to be the most reliable path to growth is multi-market. And once we sort of nailed that down, the question became, okay, where and when? Like where are we gonna do this? Are we gonna do this in these tiny markets that we can own very quickly? Or are we gonna do this in extremely competitive markets like Columbus? Like Columbus is like ridiculous right now.
And so that was going to be my question for you. Like if we can dig in a little bit on this, is what I've been receiving as we're running the Jacquisitions podcast, specifically from HVAC and Tri Trades operators, is what we're seeing is like this new thesis strategy that's coming out. And I've seen it about 4 or 5 times with different individuals, and they have this belief. And I've been very upfront with them. So this shouldn't be a shock if you're listening and you're hearing this for the first time and you're one of them, is like, I keep telling them, I said, this is a really difficult path, because the idea is that, hey, I'm going to buy small HVAC companies in tertiary cities. I'm going to buy like 2 or 3 or 4 of them and run them. Because from a standpoint like Peterman Brothers, right? Like it makes sense for him to do that. He has the infrastructure to be able to handle that. But like the idea of a roll-up strategy in tertiary markets to me sounds like a nightmare. Because for me to do it, I would have to go and find like really good operators in very small towns. Like that's what I say to them. You need to go find a really good operator in a small town. Labor's a nightmare. Marketing's easier, I would assume. But like I keep coming back to this idea that people keep bringing up to me, and I'm going, A, where is this coming from? Because I don't hear it from any of the gurus. And B, unless you have like a really big foundation.
It's because it's easier, or it looks easier at the offset. Like if we're acquiring, who's going to buy them, right? Like I see all these deals. There's a $5 million HVAC business that is for sale, and like, who's going to buy it? Like it's in the literal middle of fucking nowhere. And if I was going to buy this, like I'm not near a big city. They're the biggest in their market, and their market is probably like 20,000 people. Like I can't get bigger than $5 or $6 million. And I like that for a private equity bit or for a serial acquirer or for me and anyone that's looking at a new opportunity, population matters a lot. Like what's the population? What's the demographics? Like the where really matters. So I think, but it looks easier because it's probably cheaper deals and like it's easier to own a market if there's no one's there. But I think the big question you have to ask yourself, is that market worth owning? Is no one there because it's not good? And I think like we're like if the first thing is, oh yeah, I can own this market, it's really easy. The second question you should be asking yourself is, why is it so easy?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So how are you then, as you're talking about this, looking at that question? I mean, I think you answered it for the most part, but moving forward, like where's your thesis and strategy on what you're looking for and kind of what's that balance? Because it's a scale, right? It's like it's a moving scale on size of market to competition.
Yeah. So we're following a pretty well documented playbook at this point. So we've talked to dozens of multi-unit operators, either on this show or offline.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the feedback is the same. Hey, I went multi-unit at $20 to $30 million. And most of it's like, do I have the team to do it? Do I have the accounting team? Do I have the HR and recruitment team? Do I have a good onboarding process? Like, is my business built to scale? Yes, no. Some people do it before that. Like we did it before that. You know, we bought those businesses in 2021. We were running 5 locations for a while and it was not good. Like we didn't do a good job of it. So I really have a healthy respect for multi-location because we did it for 2.5 years. So yeah, I think, but running in between 20 and 30, that's a very common size to go multi-market. There are exceptions, again, like Chris Hoffman ran up to 80 before running to multi-market. There's a lot of people
Peterman
that go.
Brothers.
Yeah,
really
100%.
Running multi. Yeah.
Well, Peterman they did it at 15, so they did it really small.
Oh, I thought they did it a lot later.
No. Nope.
Okay.
Eco ran at 30. Tommy, I think, was 20-ish. Like it, you know, but it's roughly, if we, instead of revenue, if we look at like, what does the business look like at the time that they went multi, the characteristics are roughly the same. Hey, I've got a good finance team. I've got a good HR team. I have a good sales process. Like I have the bones of a good business. And what would help me more now is more distribution.
Which, yeah, I mean, that makes sense based on like the episode we did a few weeks ago where it was like, hey, when do you have a C-suite team or when is your top level management team? And it's around that 20 to 30. So if you're able to get that top level management team that can handle most of the daily ops at a singular location and then have the bandwidth to go into multi-location, it may be a good idea.
And I think it can be a force multiplier. We haven't had Rich Jordan on for a while, but for him, multi-market has been a real force multiplier. Like he is growing faster than he would have otherwise because he has 2 locations growing at steam.
3 now.
Yeah. That's awesome. Right. I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
And I think he's about to clip his first $3 million month. I don't know if he wants me to say that, but like, that's amazing. And a big part of the success there is the multi-location. So we're running a well-documented playbook. A lot of the people that have come before us also spread out at that 20 to 30. I think that revenue matters less. Like what one company's 20 to 30 look like compared to mine, it's almost irrelevant. Like what does your leadership team look like? Are they capable of running the business without you? Can you disappear for a month? If you've got that type of leadership team, like you are capable of taking on new opportunities.
Mm-hmm. And then so for you specifically, I mean, not to use this as like a plug, but like what are you looking for now going into something? Like where's once again, what's your theory? Where are you actively and openly participating in looking for things?
Yeah, so we have 2.
Well, if we want to step back, so just not to make this show all about me, which I'm going to do here.
Nice.
But like the opposite of what we're saying, and I think what most of our listeners are going to be running into is like we're still focused on the opposite. So all of our acquisitions are within an hour of our main location so that we can tuck it in to our main brand and our main name so that we're running those efficiencies of scale. And really when we're buying a $3 or $4 million company, we're merging the two, taking the people, the systems. We're still utilizing a lot of what the company is providing to try and grow us to that 10 like you guys did.
Yeah.
So just to be really clear, like this is the opposite strategy. We are not going. We've looked at a company. We got really close to buying one 3 hours away, but
it's such a big lift.
Yep. Such a huge lift that we realized later on that we ended up backing out of the deal.
Yeah.
Also, some SBA rule changes made it so it wasn't as valuable because we were going to get the business essentially from a cash flow free standpoint or a debt payment free standpoint, but it didn't work out. Mm-hmm. That all being said, like opposite strategy, like something localized to us where it will meaningfully move our top and bottom line, give us trucks, give us employees, and be able, or maybe even a new vertical that'll be able to push us into more revenue in our singular location.
Yeah. So we're thinking about this in 3 different ways. So in our core location, like we're still growing organically. We're still growing a lot organically, like 25-ish%, I think year to date. So that feels healthy and that feels good. We're going to keep pushing on that. I would look at a local deal if it moved the needle. Like if I found, it'd probably have to be north of $5 million for me to get excited. Yeah. I would get very excited for a north of 10, but there's like 2 of those that aren't PE owned, maybe 1. Like there's just not a lot.
If you're an HVAC tech, plumber, or electrician, you know that time is money, and Supply House gets it. With over 280,000 products from 500 trusted brands, they make it easy to get what you need fast. Their Trademaster program gives you exclusive perks like better pricing, free shipping, and priority support. Right now, you can get 5% off your first order at supplyhouse.com with code SH5. Supply House, real people, real service.
And I mean, you run a tri-trade business. Is there any difference for you to like bolster your HVAC department versus your plumbing department, or just you don't care? It would just be any deal over 5 million that made sense.
I would look at any deal over 5 that made sense. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think so core market, we're really just focused on organic. And the way I'm thinking about this is I have this really like competent team that has a plan, a roadmap, and they're doing a great job. I don't want to break that. And I think that's been what I've been saying over the past 2 years is like, hey, we're not really thinking about deals because we're growing like crazy organic, and I don't want to break that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think there is a moment where you can run organic and inorganic, and we're approaching that moment again. That's the first way is like inside our current market. The next one is greenfield. I've talked to enough people now. Obviously, I have not done this. So like, theory counts for shit. Like I'll tell you what actually happened once we did it. But like, when I look at what other people have done to launch a greenfield and I just like sort of look inside our own business, I can identify what look like some pretty clear opportunities.
Yeah, I would agree to that because somebody asked me the other day, like, Jack, startup again versus purchase. That question comes up a lot, right? Buy versus build. And the answer now is different than the answer 2 years ago. So once you know how to run an HVAC or plumbing or electrical business, the answer becomes different because I'm pretty sure that if I was forced to do it again with the same knowledge I had now, I would go greenfield maybe, just because like I know how to market it. I could definitely hire and I could definitely drive $1 million in revenue in the first year like nobody's business. That being said, 3 years ago, I could not. Yeah. Like I needed that to be able to start. So it's a kind of a loaded question for new buyers because I don't think it's the same unless you've ran an HVAC business.
And also like what's the team? So for us, like, I've spent the last 12 months like talking to everyone that I could on show and offline. Hey, how did you launch this location? What did marketing spend look like? What did team look like? most of those conversations are public. Like you can just go back through the podcast and like you'll get an idea of what we're about to do. But what I've continued to learn is it's the team. It's built on the team, and we can only greenfield. I'm sure we could greenfield and figure it out otherwise. Other people have, obviously, but the way I feel comfortable is I have the team that we know how to drive leads. We know how to recruit. We know how to onboard. We know how to sell. We know how to answer and book calls. Like we've got a great team. We have a great system. Now, like, let's just go get more gross profit dollars. So greenfielding looks easier to me because we can check a lot of the boxes. Hey, we had Premier Home Pros and they talked a lot about working with their lead partners and like, how do they look at new markets? How do they assess like which one to do at what point? That's the process we're in right now. We're talking to our lead partners. We're checking in with our marketing team. We're finding what are the opportunities around us that have the leads that we can buy easily, and does it have the talent pool that we need? So like greenfielding does feel not easy, but like straightforward. I think a lot of the people that I've talked to that have struggled with greenfielding make some decision, like they all make the same decision, and we're going to choose to not make that decision, which is, I'm not ready to like air that one, but it's how they approach leads basically. So we're going to be like, I've talked to people that do this really well and execute at a high level. I've done this with people that run a big business, but they don't execute this well. And
John,
we're opting,
gatekeeping the secret sauce here.
Yeah, I think like
that's fair because you guys are about to do it. So I'm not going to push on that.
We're about to do it. So we'll find out if it works. If it works, we'll talk more openly about it. My concern with, I'm always afraid to like give a recommendation for something I haven't tried. Like anything we talk about, we've tried. So like, I don't want somebody to like go, take what I'm saying as a wreck and ruin their life. So yeah, that's that. And my third one, which I think I'm the most excited about, is like partnerships. Like how do we create partnerships? So, and I'm taking a lot of inspiration again from Rich Jordan, good friend of mine. He's come on the show a few times. So just search and shout our feed. And I think he's done what made him grow as fast as he did was he partnered up with the right people, and they each owned a market and they each owned a location. And it's inspiring. Like they're growing like crazy. And I think that level of partnership is really good. So as we're thinking about more locations, a big thing that's on our brain is, yes, how do we greenfield and how do we just keep on the plan and continue executing at a high level? But also, how do we go partner with other people out there that are running good businesses like 5 million and up in plumbing, HVAC, electric? And how can we bring the playbook? How do we bring SOPs? How do we bring like our team's expertise, our buying power? How do we bring all of that to a partner? So that's a big way that we're thinking about the next 12 months too, is like, how do we partner up with people? They still run that market and we just provide them a ton of resources and we grow.
Which is interesting. It's like the private equity playbook, but it has an extra step. And that extra step is you're not somebody in a suit that works for it's not somebody in a suit that works up in Chicago or New York. It's like, hey, we actually own a business. So this is the assistance that you're getting. Because a lot of times what I hear from owners that sell and then continue to operate on that playbook is they're like, they help me buy trucks, but they help me buy trucks. Yeah. Or they help me with this small issue and some insurance and things like that, like the admin tasks. But a lot of what I needed wasn't admin tasks. It was, hey, I need help like with strategy and running the business and a team that I can work with. And so that's a really interesting way to, attack this problem.
I think so. Yeah, Rich has been an inspiration for it. Like seeing what he's done has been amazing.
And you get good operators, right? Like that's one of the hardest parts.
Dude, that's the hardest part. Like as I think about so when I think about greenfield, what is nice about that is like, hey, I have the team and we have a leadership pipeline. We have a leadership development. I can replicate leaders, which is like the first and foremost biggest problem you're going to have with any like expansion is how do you drive new leaders into the business? but like partnership sort of does similar. You get someone bought in, you get someone that can run this business and that you can grow it together. So yeah, it does solve kind of a major issue, because if I'm greenfielding, it's going to be within driving distance. Partnerships give me the ability to go anywhere. And as long as it like, does it make sense? Is it easy to get to if there was a problem, or like on a monthly basis or something, or how does HR go there, or accounting go there, or whatever has to happen. But like, does the location make sense? And if it does, then like, yeah, we can, it becomes a bigger win.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, that completely agree.
Well, the economics are dumb too. Like we've seen, we do like open book, we have this community, it's like a peer
OAO Pro.
Yeah. OAO Pro. It's a peer group community. It's good. Like we're adding I think 2 people a week right now, which is a lot of fun. And one of the things we do is we do open book financials. Like literally, here's the P&L, and what continues to be just wild. And I'm sure it gets even like, I'm saying this from my perspective, but like, what's it like for Apex? Like what's it like for the biggest in our industry? But I'll look at people's like water heater pricing, and I'll look at their HVAC pricing, and we literally buy 50% less. And I'm sure Apex buys 50% less than us. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but the economics of buying is crazy. So when you start like bringing in like, hey, how do we add this company, this revenue, and how do we reduce their COGS like crazy? What if we could give a 30% or 40% overall material cut? What if we could drive more leads because we're best in class at it? What if we could save on all your software? What if all of that, and the business went from a 10% profit to 20 or 25, and you still had a portion of that?
Yeah, because you're able to, right? You're able to cut the gross margin down off the top. Right away with material costs. So now your gross margin's jumping, which is absolutely huge. That's one of the hardest things to do.
Yeah.
Because especially if you're
Scale.
able to like 50% on gross margin costs, like I'd be like,
it is ridiculous. Like we're seeing water heater pricing, 50%. Yeah. And I'm like, this is crazy.
Yeah. And then on the bottom line, so you've just like boost gross margin by a ton. And then on the bottom line, you're like, oh, actually, here, we'll help you with hiring. We'll help you with HR. We'll help you with this. We'll help you with that. And then all of a sudden now you're like, my service Titan fee per person went from 300 to 180. And now you're like, okay, I've just cut all my expenses by about 20-25% as well. So you have gross margin inflation, and you have cuts in your bottom line. And so like that has to drive your net. Like how good would that feel if tomorrow in your business you're just like, like now we have, a couple 100,000, maybe 500,000 more on the bottom line per year that we can spend, because that's like cash.
It's real. Like it's real. And I think, we've gotten a lot more conviction around this, the more frankly that we've seen Rich grow. Like I brought this idea up in December of last year. I don't remember. I don't know if you remember that, but like we talked about this like partnership model on the podcast, and like people texted about it. Like it makes sense. It makes sense.
Cut that. Cut that. We don't want to be an explicit podcast, John.
On Spotify, but like it makes a lot of sense. So that's that's something that we're working on really over the next 12 months. Like, hey, we're looking for people that want to partner with us. I don't know. So if anybody wants to,
do you have any specific?
Shoot me a DM.
Do you have any specific regions that you're working on? Because a lot of people like to work only in the Southeast or Southwest or Midwest.
I mean, we're aiming pretty much Midwest. I don't think the Carolinas. I think that's like too east probably, but like Ohio, Michigan, Pennsylvania is kind of both. Maybe Midwest gets cut. There's a portion of Pennsylvania that's absolutely Midwest. Illinois, Tennessee, Kentucky, maybe Minnesota, Wisconsin, but like Midwest basically. But I think we're able to bring a lot to it, but that's something that I'm getting more and more excited about. The more our leadership team takes the bandwidth off, just seeing how fast we can grow together is like, oh my God, this makes a lot of sense. And then how fast, hey, if that company's 5 or 10 million, how do we come in? How do we change the whole P&L, take it from 8 or 10% profit to 20? And then how do we execute a roll-up strategy around them and build them up to 20 to 30 million top line in like a year or two. And like, that's the game. That's the plan. So how do we do that? And then how do we then do greenfields from them the same as
into little sub-markets?
Right.
Yeah. As you would do with yours.
Pretty much. So that's the playbook.
I mean, that's why I ask about kind of geolocation and where you're focused, because like that's what makes more sense to do that strategy specifically in like a series of 10 states close by each other
versus one in California
and Southern California and one all the way up in Maine. Like the greenfields just mean less, and it just means less altogether. And so, I mean,
it's a lot less efficiency. And the way we're thinking about it, like, I don't want to go too far because I do think, like, how easy is it to get there?
I was going to say, like, an hour-long plane ride is not a bunch of lift compared to like a 6-hour long plane ride with a bunch of time zone changes and such. And then so, like, on this same topic, we talk about a lot and we hear about it a lot. But from as you're starting to move into this and as you're seeing the businesses that are for sale and potentially looking at them, what's your feeling on the idea of the Silver Tsunami?
Ooh, that's a term. Maybe I'm not. I probably don't follow the right people because that's a term I don't feel like I hear a lot anymore.
It's still popping. I mean, I still see it from some of the gurus. I did a long episode on what I think about this Silver Tsunami about a year ago, and it still gets quite a bit of views just because people find either maybe evergreen content talking about it, or there's new creators that come out all the time. I don't want to influence you though.
Yeah. What do I think of the Silver Tsunami? Well, so I think let's define the Silver Tsunami. So the Silver Tsunami, there was some article like 5 or 6 years ago, or like a series of articles, and it said, hey, there's this thing coming where it's the greatest transfer of wealth in history, and that's the Silver Tsunami. And the idea is that baby boomers are the most concentrated like section of wealth that's ever existed, that generation. They're getting ready to die
simultaneously
or retire or whatever.
With the largest group of business owners, right? Because then that to millennials, less people.
Well, and real estate owners. It was real estate, stocks, and business. So the idea is, what happens to all that property? Where does it go? And it was like $10 trillion was like supposedly the number, right?
Correct. Yeah. In assets. So it's like, where are their assets being sent to? How are they being divided up as they start to move into retirement?
Yeah. I guess my take is there's certainly a lot of acquisition activity. I'm sure that acquisitions are more it seems like small business acquisitions are a really popular asset class that didn't exist 10 years ago, or it probably did, but like not to this extent. But I think I did see a chart that like SBA data like disproved that thought. Like SBA like loans have like roughly stayed the same, right? So, but that's just a feeling, probably because the bubble I'm in is like, oh, it's increasing, but like SBA is like, no, it's like basically the same. Mm-hmm. So I guess my thought is, isn't the statistic like 94% of businesses listed for sale don't sell?
I don't know if it's 94, but it's very, very high.
It's high. And so I think that is a part of it. Like, some of these businesses aren't good. Like, they're just not. And are they really going to sell, or are they just going to be displaced? Because what I've continued to see, and I know that this is coming for me eventually too, but like innovation catches up to us all. Mm-hmm. And does that business transact, or does that business just decline? And a new up-and-comer takes that share. And that, just like from what I see in the industry, that is what I tend to see more of.
Yeah, no, that's super interesting. And that's why I'm asking you, is because you get a bit more of an in-industry look. And what I've noticed from my in-industry look is that the big companies, for the most part, like obviously there's going to be some outliers. There's also going to be some confirmation bias in the sense that like the people that we talk to are going to be the young owners naturally. Right. But I think if you were to look at the large businesses on the whole, they've already changed hands. Like a lot of them have changed hands to a younger ownership or operation group. And what is left out there is most of the Silver Tsunami is a subsect of the business buying group that is actually not buyable. They are 1 million,
or haven't gotten there yet.
1 million, 1.5 million top line businesses, and they just have very little value in comparison to what they think they're worth. So rather, these guys have put 40 years worth of blood, sweat, and tears into this business, and realistically, the $20,000 in EBITDA that they have is just not worth the $1 million that they believe it's worth based on their, equity, personal sweat equity into the business. And so unfortunately, like that's, at least in home services from what we've seen, like that is the vast majority of the Silver Tsunami is these unviable small businesses that are just going to close shop. And then the ones that are viable, we've seen it over the last 6 years. Quite a few of them have been snapped up already. So they're no longer.
Yeah. And I do think SBA is a bad measurement of this because I think you're right. Like SBA data is like, hey, not much has changed. But PE is not SBA. And
Correct.
PE is obviously very active in a ton of different asset classes. So I think you're probably right. We're in it in some version of it, but a lot of it didn't go to millennials or Gen X or whatever. It went to institutional.
Exactly. A lot of it went institutional and it went early on. And so what we're dealing with now is, the article came out 6 years ago, but people are still pushing the idea. And I think a lot of the idea is like, well, there's still 52 million businesses in the trades that are up and available. And it's like, well, yeah, those 52 million businesses are not really viable businesses. Most of them, even yourself, like your boomer parents have traded your business to you, the younger generation. Same with Hoffman, same with like all of these large companies. Is there was a point in time where they traded early on, right when that article came out, and then institutions got involved, swooped up quite a bit of the rest. And now we're sitting on a subsect of just a very small amount of viable businesses that would actually make sense to purchase. And now with all the SBA rules changing on June 1st, making sure that you have to have licenses and all this kind of other stuff, it's just making it less viable to even buy an HVAC business or a licensed business. And even crazier, John, is like what I've been chewing on quite a bit is if you're running a $5 million electrical, plumbing, and HVAC business, right? It's a small business, but it's viable, right? It has really 3 small verticals, whatever. But the fact that you need your HVAC, plumbing, and electrical license to go and actually buy that business makes it almost impossible if you don't already have at least the majority of those licenses or you have the ability to get them, like a private equity group. So it takes out like this subsect of the Silver Tsunami in the sense that like now even more people can't buy because they're multi-trade businesses.
If you've been listening to the show for a while, you know that we've been big fans of ServiceScalers. One of the things that they just dropped that we are really excited about is a pay-per-lead program. So what they help you do is they help you directly gain access to leads and scale up your lead partner program. Go to servicescalers.com and say we sent you.
I think that makes sense. I think what's going to be really interesting, I think about this a lot because we're in this, like we're in all these groups and all these businesses are like fast growing, right? Like I have a lot of friends that I like in the industry that I made under 10 million of revenue.
Mm-hmm.
And like, we're all in the 20s, 30s, 40s now. Like we're moving. Yeah, we'll get there. But I just think it's kind of interesting because I agree. 5 years ago, there was this moment where basically every big business sold. But what is starting to happen is that pool and the pool emptied. So like how many businesses in the US are there above 20 or 30 million that are still private, right? Like it's not a lot. Like people have made guesses at it. But like it's under 100 is like the guess that I usually see. Some people are more aggressive and they say under 50. I don't think that's right, but like it's not a lot. But what I'm starting to see is as these smaller, more innovative businesses are growing, they're taking that spot. And I think what's going to be interesting is the next wave.
Yeah.
Because I think we're going to, in the next 5 years, hey, that pool emptied. All of the businesses north of 20 sold. But now that pool got refilled, and it's just this cycle because there's way more investment. There's way more eyeballs. There's way more tech solutions every freaking day inside the trade. So the trades is still like experiencing a lot of growth. So yeah, I think all these businesses are still growing really fast. And I think like all the people that traded, all the big boys, the legacy winners, the Cool Rays of the world, like they're quickly being replaced by the new generation. And then in 10 years, it'll probably happen again.
Yeah. Super interesting. Yeah. I mean, I don't disagree with you there at all, because that's what we've seen in every other industry as well. So like if you grow a giant, drink or chip manufacturer, you know, you're going to get bought up by Frito-Lay in about 5 to 10 years. Like, so the younger, more innovative companies who are doing new solutions and kind of pioneering.
Well, yeah, you just keep feeding the machine.
And they keep feeding the large machines.
Feeding the machine. Because, you know, what I see that's a really great example. Because is there an institutional buyer at the end of the line? And that's how like you're should be thinking about these opportunities. Like in pest control, there's an institutional buyer at the end. Like there's public pest control companies and they'll buy you. Mm-hmm. So a lot of, and plumbing, HVAC, electric is approaching that, where there is now just a pipeline. So you can just grow and grow. And there will always be new entrants to sort of like the larger size, where they can just sell to some institutional buyer, because there's more and more of those institutional buyers now. So I do think, it'll be interesting, because I think you're right. I think we went through a lot of the silver tsunami already. And what we're getting ready to experience is like the millennial tsunami.
Yeah.
Like people that bought their business that are a millennial 10 years ago, and hey, that business is $50 million of revenue now. And what happens?
Yeah, they've gotten to a point where they can either continue running these difficult businesses or they can exit. So I agree. I think that the silver tsunami is changing into a sort of a repooling of a millennial tsunami that we'll see here in the near future. Probably the next 10 years, the next decade, we'll get a big portion of that, as people want to retire at 45. That's the goal.
Let's go. Lake
Except
House
half
Jack.
of us can't retire because we just all type A personalities and is super obsessive about everything.
Yeah.
I'm speaking for everyone out there.
I think you have to be to get to here.
So sweet. That's awesome. This is a good conversation. I love it.
I will plug myself really quick. If you want to partner with me, you should reach out. Info at Owned and Operated, or DM me on any of the platforms I'm on. But yeah, we're looking. I think it's fun. I'm ready for the next stage.
Awesome.
Ready to like do business with friends.
2026. Yeah. I'm in.
2026. LFG.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for listening. Is this going to launch before the workshop? Maybe.
I don't know. Yeah, workshop's in a couple weeks. Probably not.
Probably not. So we won't plug that. But head on over to ownedandoperated.com. Check out OAO Pro and
sign up for the newsletter.
Appreciate it, guys.
Like and sub. Let's go.